Hello everyone and welcome back to Monsters of the Mind. As always, I'm your host Mr.G. Today, I'm here in the Labyrinth to talk about one of the most famous monsters in Greek mythology. And that's saying a lot because Greek mythology is some of the most famous monsters in all mythology. So put your hands together for the bull-headed man, the Minotaur. Minotaur means Minos' bull, and it was an individual. It was pretty evil, and he lived in the Labyrinth, and he comes from Greek mythology. Appearance-wise, the Minotaur is usually depicted as a man with the head of a bull. Contrary to most depictions, where he is basically an anthro-bull, in the actual myths, only his head was said to have any bovinian features. The Minotaur's backstory is actually kinda gross. Once upon a time, the king of Crete, Minos, made a promise to the gods that he would sacrifice whatever they sent him as a sign of respect. So Poseidon sent him a snow-white bull known as the Cretan bull. However, Minos was so entranced by it, he refused to do it, which angered Poseidon. And as a punishment, he made Minos' wife fall in love with the bull, and that created the Minotaur. In order to contain the crime against nature, Minos had a giant maze constructed underneath his castle known as the Labyrinth, where he would keep the Minotaur. The Minotaur then became used as both a punishment and as part of a ritual where every few years a bunch of girls would be sacrificed to the monster. Eventually, the Minotaur met its end after the hero Theseus went down into the labyrinth with a ball of string so that he could keep its way. He ended up taking the Minotaur by surprise and killed it. Now here's Vincent. The Minotaur. He lives out in the maze, like Mr. G says. Except that since he no longer has access to the original labyrinth, he kind of made his own. He went into a cave and he started punching at the walls in order to create a new labyrinth, because he was dissatisfied that there was no labyrinthy enough place for him. So now he lives there and he only occasionally comes out of there. And whenever he does, he just kind of walks around and stares at things. It's actually pretty creepy. I can't tell what he's thinking most of the time because I've never been able to really get a good gauge on what cow emotions are like, really. Okay, now let's look at the card. What's with the snake tongue? Why did they give it a snake tongue? I mean, he was the result of a bull and a human committing crimes against nature, but why is there a snake tongue? I don't. Why is this series so obsessed with giving random things snake tongues? Do they think it makes them look scarier or something? I don't get it. Personally, I never really found snake tongue scary, so this is just like weird whenever I see a creature with a snake tongue. Anyway, this is a lot better than most Minotaur depictions, since they remembered that his bull features were actually very sparse and only affected his head, really, and I guess his back sometimes. So yeah, they actually remember that the Minotaur wasn't just an anthro bull, but actually had a human body. Which is surprisingly rare in pop culture, for some reason. I'm also not sure about the glowing yellow eyes. Why would it have glowing yellow eyes? I don't get it, either. This card gets an 8 out of 10 because of the design choices that I find confusing. Now let's look at the Minotaur in pop culture. The Minotaur appeared in one of Ray Harryhausen's Sinbad movies, except here it was portrayed as like a golden statue of one. Minotaurs appear in God of War. Oh, just a side tangent, the Minotaur is one of those creatures that mythologically only referred to a single individual, but modern pop culture has taken to refer to as a species. Minotaur is up there with Pegasus in terms of mythological creatures that people treat as a species when they were actually an individual. Minotaurs appear a lot in the Castlevania series. One made a brief appearance in Hercules, even though the Minotaur never fought Hercules, but whatever. Minotaurs appeared in Dungeons & Dragons, and yes, this is back. A Minotaur named Iron Will appears in My Little Pony, and yes, this is back too. The TV show Gravity Falls features a group of creatures called Minotaurs, which are basically Minotaurs if they were bro dudes. The Cartoon Network show Adventure Time once featured a Minotaur named Manish Man. That's all for this episode of Monsters of the Mind. Join me next time when I take a look at another sea creature. This one is apocalyptic. Goodbye. By the way, does anyone know how to get out of this maze?